So let's start though by saying who you are. So we're sitting with.
He doesn't even know our names.
Yeah, Kenny and Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Ha! Which is actually really good for me because I'm really bad with names.
It's because they're similar.
It's because they're similar and somehow they stuck in my head.
You can call us Mick Kenny.
Mick Kenny.
We were wondering if you had a
Celebrity
double
style.
name.
Yeah.
You know.
Ken Minzy.
Our wedding, they call him Mick Kenny Palooza because we
Nice.
had like 6 bands.
6 bands?
It was ridiculous.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And amazing.
Was it like a festival?
Kind of.
It was like the McKenney Festival.
Was it over a couple of days or?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 3
so
days.
much fun.
It's so
Really?
Bands from
Best
Ireland.
days
yeah.
of my life.
How did you end up with 6 bands at your wedding?
We didn't really have kids.
Right, but how do you know do you know
We just
6
found
bands?
them.
Yeah, we just
Found
yeah,
them.
we're pretty good at manifesting. I feel like when there's something we want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do
That's
that
really
more
fun.
actually.
We were too tired now.
Yeah.
Too tired. I mean, you lose the ability to manifest when everything mentally is taken up by minions. Like,
Precisely.
I okay. So how many kids do you guys have?
3.
And you have
A 10-year-old girl,
okay.
a 4-year-old boy, and a 2.5-year-old girl.
So you got the
Girl, boy,
boy,
girl.
girl sandwich.
Sadie,
Okay.
Tatum, and Kaya.
Kaya. Okay. And then we were just talking about this, but we might as well launch into it. The third one was 100% planned, and you were like, "Let's do this!
yes,
3 kids.
another baby.
I
I'm
need
so
more
excited."
work." What went down there?
Vasectomy didn't happen.
Gotcha. So vasectomy didn't happen, but you still wanted to have sex.
That's a conundrum,
It's
you
weird
know?
actually.
It's super weird.
That's
I-
the
like-
one thing that we do have. Is sex.
sex. Okay, all right.
When we
yeah.
have time.
I
But
mean,
I was supposed to get a vasectomy, and I came home from Belgium one night, like after teaching for a while. I remember the night. I was grumpy, I was tired. We had sex, and we got pregnant.
oh man,
No, so it's
is
like
that how
angry
that
I
works?
mean, it's,
No, I wasn't angry. I was just tired. I was like, I just was
but you know,
jet
it's been a
lagged.
while. So.
Right.
And they
They've been
say the
saving
pull-out
up.
method is effective, like fairly effective.
Yeah,
But
but not
I mean, it
always.
works for a while, but yeah, I
Yeah.
guess that time.
So that's what happened.
We got too cocky because we thought
I
like
thought I was a
Yeah.
yoga
Interesting
teacher and I had
choice of word.
control of my
Right.
systems.
Yeah. I'm whole. What was that? Nothing. Nothing. We're still going. Still going.
And so that kind of crushed you for a little while, you said,
big time.
when you found that you were
I
pregnant.
was so upset.
It did?
Are you serious?
I
He
felt,
is serious because
I
you
was-
know
Hold on.
he cannot remember anything that
Same,
happened
same.
from like a week ago even.
Same with Pat.
And I'm like, that was a big life moment, or like, remember that time, and
Yeah.
I'm still mad about it. And he's like, what?
Nope.
Yeah,
Let it go.
Nothing.
He lets it go. He's a yogi.
Nothing.
He lets it all go.
Remember.
Pat's the same.
It's in every. I have a cell for each one still, like in this
Holding
body.
all the. That's good.
Oh, she's
Holding
like a
patterns.
Viking. Yeah, like a Viking who never forgets. Like her
Viking. I've never
yeah.
heard that term. A
I don't
Viking
know,
who never
she
forgets.
is a Viking.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I might need one of your knives later. Actually.
Yeah, I mean, you go to town. They're very small, so it's not going to kill him, but it'll do it.
One of those.
It'll really
cells.
hurt.
This is why I don't make knives.
Okay.
Yeah,
so-
no, it was seriously traumatic. Like I was crying
why?
because I didn't want to do it again. Like I didn't want to be pregnant. I didn't want to give birth. I didn't want to have to raise another kid. I wasn't that kind of woman. Like I never thought about being a mom. I got pregnant by accident when I was 25. That's how it all started.
Right.
That pull-out method worked really well too.
Right.
Oh, so this
Super.
is the second time that was.
I think I would have learned my lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems to be a pattern, and there's a common denominator here.
And the 10-year-old goes around saying only 1 out of the 3 was planned.
What thing?
Well, that's
And
what
it
you get
wasn't
for
me.
being open with your family.
Yes, I
yeah.
believe in that.
It's good. It's good.
And of course, once they're here, you're like grateful and you love them so much.
Right.
But still, it's been challenging because, you know, we had 2 toddlers at the same time, and the second one got really jealous. So it's been a challenge, a much more challenging challenge than had we not had that third child.
Right.
So in the moments where you're like, okay, this is not planned. I'm pretty angry. Like blah blah blah. You're going through the emotions. Did you consider not having the child?
No.
Why is that?
There wasn't a chance.
I think 'cause
I
we
was
had
like,
our
I did
family-
it. We gotta have it. She had to
And-
make the final call.
Right.
It didn't really seem fair because like
It didn't make that
could
decision.
have the baby. Like we had our family unit and we're in love.
There was
and,
no
like,
reason not to.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
like we were young and reckless or. I mean,
We weren't young, but we were reckless.
well, maybe
I
yeah,
guess.
we were very reckless.
But it wasn't like some stranger, like you say,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
like established you.
Yeah,
You know, you're
and we had
secure
the
and-
love to kind of give.
Right.
And
Did you ever
although-
think about it?
It never even crossed my mind actually, which that wasn't true for the first.
Right.
But yeah, it never crossed my mind. I just knew that and I think that's part of the conundrum because I was like, I don't want to, but I know I'm gonna do
So you
this.
kind of
I,
felt
sure,
it
I
stuck.
thought you mentioned it once.
No, I just.
I swear I remember
No.
that.
I mean, we maybe said like, well,
Yeah.
there's always that option,
Right.
But it was never.
never really an
something
option
that was
for
an
you.
option.
No, she's so
Yeah.
rad.
I mean,
Gotcha.
Kenny could have never lived with himself either. I probably could have, but I
Not
don't
me.
think he
I don't know.
could have.
I went through that in like college,
Mm.
like right before college.
You
Yeah,
had an
where
abortion?
yeah, where my
To terminate a
girlfriend gave
pregnancy.
up, and I was like, "There's no chance. I can't go through that.
right,
It was too hard."
right,
And I wasn't even positive if it was my kid,
and you were still.
and I still was like, so
Yeah.
this was like not a chance.
But his
There's no way.
challenge with our third was, would he be able to? How would he love them all? Like,
Yeah.
he felt like it would be taking some love away from the second.
Yeah, that was your concern.
That was definitely my concern.
Yeah.
Going from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
No, but also like having the third, you were like,
Oh yeah.
well, how are we going to give this third? It's hard to give two attention. How are we going to give the third one?
Oh no, it's gonna be hard as hell.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think for me it was more psychologically hard for 1 to 2
Oh, it feels easier now because you did it.
because I
Yeah.
did it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Yeah.
know there's another way we can do this. I'm bummed that I'm not going to be able to spend the same type of time with the
That's true.
2 that I have, but I know it's possible. So I had that real fight in my head with the 1 to 2. That was the thing where I was like, oh, there's no way I can love another thing like this. And then the second one came, I was like, yes, I can.
But I feel you. I felt actually guilty to have. I had Tatum, or we had Tatum, and then when Sadie was born, I was like, oh man, I just love this kid so much. I wish he had more time before Sadie was born to just have our
Right.
attention. And you can see it play out a little bit.
That
I
would
feel
have
like
been nice.
now.
To all the listeners out there, I don't recommend an 18-month
18 month
turnaround. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah, they make these things.
crazy.
Called
They're
condoms.
yeah. They're little. It's like a little rubber dam.
I don't think they make them in Belgium. That's why I
They
didn't
don't
have
make
one
them in
on me.
Belgium. They don't make
I
them
didn't
in
have
Belgium.
one on me when I got
Fair
home.
enough.
So
And
Yeah.
I mean, that vasectomy was going to happen after Sadie,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Did you get the vasectomy?
I did.
Okay.
Basically, Mackenzie went in and talked to the janitor at the clinic.
When
and
I
was
dropped
like-
off your sperm,
Yeah, and was take this and make sure
it's good to go.
he's fixed. And the janitor's like, I just sweep the
Was
floor.
kind of the
But she came
They
in
were
like,
like, we're closed. I'm like, oh,
Not
come
right
back with
now.
a new sample on Monday.
That's really funny. But some people choose that small gap. We have friends that
Yeah, I
swear
don't
by
know.
it, but I think they swear by it later on in life, like when the kids are more like
little
4 and
older.
5 or 4
yeah,
and
when they're
Yes,
playing together.
because-
And
right.
What are the ages of what's your youngest?
2.5.
2.5.
So, having 2 toddlers at the same time is like pretty full on.
Super
Yeah.
cool.
You guys will you'll be you'll have
Yeah,
one
he'll
toddler
be
at a
nearly
time.
3.
Yeah. So you'll kind of hit it, but not really.
and I see Tatum, the 4-year-old, he's maturing. But then when she's in the room, he like
Yeah. he
regresses to get attention.
Right.
And I understand it. And she's pretty chill, but she does this thing where she screams about anything.
Right.
Papa! Like, just screams.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh. And when he's not there, she tends to, like, change also.
Yeah.
So one-on-one, they're pretty easy.
Interesting.
But put them both in a room, it's like a
They
pressure
literally, if they could cut him in half, like, they would each take one and just,
So
Oh, wow.
so those two are
So they're
more attached to you.
Fighting
they
over
are
you.
obsessed. I mean, like, addicted, obsessed.
cooker. Papa.
When they go to
Yes.
school, it's like they leave you okay, or is that hard?
Most of the time.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I stay with them for, 5-10 minutes. Like, let them show me around school.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wave at the windows. And they're pretty good at letting go.
Are they in the same classroom?
I end up, like, crying when I'm leaving. I'm like, oh,
He
man.
does still.
Like, dad guilt.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, just homeschool. I'll just homeschool you. You could just stay with me.
It's a real thing.
I
think.
don't suffer from mom guilt. So
That's great.
What was the? Have you ever
Yeah,
go
it's
away
good
from
for
him
her.
for like a couple days?
couple days,
Yeah.
like weeks, you mean?
Do you go away from for weeks?
Are you kidding? I just got from I went to Portugal for 10 days
No way.
By yourself?
with my mom and sister.
Nice.
Yes.
Good for
It
you.
was hard to come back. Like, it was really nice.
That's
So messed up.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't. We had a rule like 3 days.
You have a rule?
One of the parents have to be, if it's like longer than 3 days, one of
One
us
of
has
you
to be
has to
home.
come
I
back.
didn't know this was a rule, but this
Apparently.
seems like it's
I
the
think there's
law.
some rules you
It's
don't
like
know
an-
about
it's like an
that
un-
are being implemented.
Unspoken rule.
I follow those
Just
unknown
like
rules.
the thing before, we had a conversation about it. But again, he remembers things very
Right.
differently.
Right.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
You guys
Yeah.
are special.
Yep.
We just remember what's important to us, and obviously these things are
Like
important.
surfing.
Yeah, like the best breaks, forging, the general way to strike an anvil. There's a lot of things that we do remember. Rules about
What
time away from
surfboard
children.
fins,
Yeah, which is a fantastic discussion in and of itself. But
Kenny doesn't look at porn. He just looks at literally board porn. Like
right, that's
just
actually an
hours.
Instagram.
Instagram
account.
board
Yeah,
porn.
it's called board porn.
I
I love
know. I mean,
surfboards.
Yeah.
when I found that, I was like, this is perfect. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
see,
I
look,
should
it already exists.
probably just make surfboards, or at
You
least
should
ride a
suck
lot
it
of
up
different ones.
because I've already made a couple for my boys.
Did you forge them?
Well, that was my initial
Are they out
forging
of metal?
job. They are not out of metal. But dude, it's a whole different ballgame if you can get in there and make it, because then you really know. Then you can actually put all this research to use rather
Yeah.
than just like, oh yeah, that's cool too. I want to spend another $700.
I would be so not happy if Kenny started making surfboards.
Why's that?
Because I'd make less money than I do now.
Oh no! You wouldn't make him to sell.
be like a hobby.
It would be a hobby. It would
Yes,
be like
exactly.
make him
That
to
is
ride.
exactly
Put it this
why.
way, he would then not have to buy them. Huh?
He would probably still buy them
Yeah,
and
true.
shoot them.
So,
That's true.
So
That's true.
Copy
He's always like,
to
look, I
understand
got rid
shapes.
of 2 surfboards. And then I'm like, wait, what?
But
I've never
then-
seen that one before.
Right,
Where'd
right.
that one
Put
come
another
That
from?
two got that one.
Yeah.
yep.
Upgrade.
Okay, so then what do you
Okay,
guys
away
do
from
for
Work.
yeah?
If you were to sit in a group of kids and they were you're going around the group saying what you do and who you are, what is the way you describe that to the kids?
I heard that on the podcast. It was nice.
Yeah.
You go first.
Papa makes people touch their toes. Like,
God, I thought you were gonna say something
Papa
else.
makes people touch their toes. I mean, that also prison guard. What do you would like? How,
no.
I'm curious.
No,
That's
actually,
his
I tell the
favorite
kids,
yoga joke.
the kids know what yoga is, so I just let them know.
Yeah.
Like, Papa's got to go teach yoga, and if I do it in the house, like past 2 mornings, I've done it with them. They just climb on me the whole time,
Yeah.
but it's fun for them.
Yeah.
So I just tell them, Papa teaches yoga. And I had a photo shoot once outside our house, and Tatum was all into it. He wanted to throw down his mat and do
course.
some yoga poses. So they both they'll do some yoga poses, but I'm not the kind of dad that's going to force them to,
course.
every morning do yoga.
So you don't just teach yoga though, like you have like
Travels and teaches yoga.
Right.
Yeah, travel, teach. I do well here in Santa Cruz, but I do better. I'm big in Europe. Like David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, like David
I do really great in Germany and Belgium.
I mean, you do wonderful things coming home from Belgium.
That's true. Belgium gets me excited. It's pretty
Yeah,
boring there.
it's
So
pretty
when I get
boring.
home,
A lot of saving up, if you will.
So you like travel to these places and teach classes, or you?
I'll teach
courses?
festivals or teacher trainings,
Okay.
or help studios set up teacher trainings.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do a bit that here in Santa Cruz. The market here is pretty saturated. There's a yoga
it?
teacher in every other house. Either yoga teacher, acupuncturist, CrossFit, massage therapist, maybe a doula.
Do
Yeah.
it for sure.
Yeah. So there's a lot of us. We're all trying to doula and yoga each other. And it's,
Duel the yoga CrossFit.
yeah.
You cross the duel
Combo actually. If you could do all 3 of those
at
things.
the same time,
No, but like
delivering
Duel-
babies,
duel
while
across.
posing and lifting at the same time. I could see it happen. Start a new company. Okay, so traveling yoga guru, and
He
That's
tries
exactly.
to do
I should
everything
be
not
a
to be a
yoga-
yoga guru,
Yeah,
which
it
hurts
works
his
against
career,
me.
I would say.
you say you try not to be.
Yeah, I should just play the guru thing up because I think you get more students. Like I know more than you.
Right.
but
Like
you don't do that.
no, I can't do it
Yeah.
He's
because
just
I don't
very
know
humble.
much.
Right.
He knows so much.
You know,
I know a lot about what I know, but I have no interest in trying to fix somebody's life.
Right, and I think a lot of the people who play the guru thing say, I have all the answers.
Yeah, and I don't.
Right.
I want them to explore it for themselves, just like I got to go through the shit. I'd
Right.
rather them just do it. Go
Right.
through your shit.
He swore first, for the record.
Yeah.
So.
I
And I'm the
actually
yoga
I did
teacher.
earlier.
I'm in trouble.
So what is it that you do
So if I were to explain it to kids,
other than married to yoga guru? The Messiah, if you will.
which that was hard, let me tell you, because like all he's surrounded by is women all the time. So
feel
at
ya.
first I like had to do a lot of therapy and like get cool with the fact that that was my reality, and I had to teach him about boundaries and like.
You had to teach him about boundaries.
Well,
Explain
some
this to me
of-
as
some
a
of
teacher.
them-
I think that's
Yeah, he needed
false.
a little help because like I'm a woman and I know those women, and he's
Right.
very nice and very kind and open and
Right.
Yeah, but I've never had
No,
any
not like
problem in the
that.
yoga world with. Yeah, but that's what it sounds like.
no, I don't mean it like that at all.
No, it sounds like she's saying that she had to teach you about what's appropriate boundaries for girls doing stuff to you.
Yes.
So
exactly.
not
Not
like-
nothing you were doing.
I'm like, hey, I don't think you're supposed to be doing that.
no, just more. It would probably be
Yes.
more like highlighting or opening your eyes to the conversations that were being
Exactly.
had around
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe.
and those things, because I think she has a deeper insight into what
Maybe.
the. Like, oh
you've
man, you're
gone-
so funny, and you're like, I'm not that funny. She keeps telling me I'm so funny, and like,
While she's massaging you.
while she's like, we usually do these after class massages, you know, like yeah.
I just try to keep it really clear because there's been so much trouble in the yoga world with that.
Well, and you're really
I've
good
never
at
had
it.
an issue with it, so
No,
I
like
try to
you've
avoid
always
that.
been good at it, but you just had to get a little better as well. So now you're like.
Still sounds bad.
No, but I
It
don't mean
doesn't-
it like
still
that
sounds
at all. You get it.
I get
Yeah,
it.
he
I
goes
get
way
it.
along.
I'm just
Yeah.
sensitive
Yeah.
to it.
That was. I mean, that was my
I had to
world.
tell him a bunch of times, like he'd tell me like conversations that he'd had
You're
with
like,
women, and I'm like,
it's so obvious.
I'm like that.
she
yeah,
wanted in your pants.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and like people comment on his Instagram like that they
Oh,
want
yeah.
to marry him and stuff. So it's like,
Oh.
you know,
Can you
he's-
gotta take it up a notch?
Well,
like Kenny doesn't get.
So
that.
it was. I was
That's very
like.
famous.
I was like small, like medium fish in small pond, because
Yeah.
it was like I was around the original CrossFit stuff, so I got a name in that world initially.
Yeah.
So it was like people knew me, and they would talk to me like they knew me, and they would. There was a lot of that. So
And
I
he's a
could-
naturally flirty person, not just with females, but with men too. Like he's just
Yeah,
naturally.
just go all
I
over
know.
them.
I thought
Yeah, I
you.
totally.
Yeah, I thought you were into
no, I
me.
thought he was flirting with me actually.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
probably
see?
was. You're cute.
Yeah,
Well, I was flirting with the
So
whole
are you.
family. I was like.
this is the
was
thing.
just all of
But
them.
it's so
Is
it's
this,
sweet to him.
a
Like I would
swinger
even be
thing or
there.
something? You like
That's
bring
what this
people in for your
podcast.
and then
Podcast. We meant sex fest. This is not a mic.
taking it like Savage Love
It's a
Cast
pregnant
style.
Savage Lovecast, straight up
Yeah.
Dan Savage,
All right, well now we know.
monogamish.
But yeah, like we'd even be on the same seminars, like coaching at the same seminar, and he would be like, you know, with the other girls, and like I said, even guys on the seminars will be like, yeah, that's inappropriate. You can't do that.
I don't remember these interactions that she's talking about.
That's
Same way that
convenient.
yours are.
Well,
Like,
Kenny
yeah.
was never actually deemed inappropriate at all.
see,
He's
that's
like-
what I'm saying. I don't.
He's just too innocent.
He
I
would.
don't-
Let me give you an example. Like, let's
me.
say someone's stretching on the ground, like, and
This sounds
Wait,
bad.
tell me.
and
Keep
he
going.
would come up behind them and like, you know, like push them. Kind of, oh yeah, let's get a little deeper. But it wouldn't
No
be.
way.
Oh,
You
would
are
totally
straight up
do
lying.
that. I saw you do this.
Never.
It could
Never.
have been to a male. That's what I'm saying.
It would have been to a dude, and it would have been to a dude that we know.
right. I'm
Did
not
your
saying.
beard brush his cheek?
Like this would not
You
have.
would never do this to the participants.
This would never have been at a seminar. This would be like a friend of mine who I've known for 3 years. We're teaching a seminar together. Everyone's not looking but the coaches,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
walk up behind him as he's stretching and be
I
like,
hadn't-
"Woo!" You know, like.
yeah, like I hadn't put it into context yet. You just got very.
Well, your version of it was like we're at this seminar. There's all these participants, and I start
groping
dry
all the
humping
women.
all the people who are stretching.
Okay, that's not what I meant.
Like
That's not what I meant.
that's what I heard from the
it's
description you
still-
gave.
I didn't
You hear
quite
what you
get
want to
that
hear.
from it.
Thank you. You hear what you want to hear.
But I think maybe should we?
Anyway.
Can I like take us back? What does Mackenzie do?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thank you for
Sorry.
readdressing the actual podcast topic.
So I am a sleep coach for infants and toddlers. And
What does that mean?
Yeah, so it's a really weird job. And I really, really love it. And it's strange. Like people hire me because their little babies or toddlers don't know how to fall asleep on their own, basically. And then I help them teach their little ones how to fall asleep on their own. And I get all kinds of families with all kinds of challenges. You know, it ranges from like kind of minor, like where their little one wakes 3 times a night and they have to maybe stay for an hour at bedtime to help them fall asleep.
Right.
In my opinion, that's sort of run of the mill.
I was gonna say, is that the biggest one, like the falling asleep one, or?
That's what I see a lot. And then I'll get more extreme cases where, like, you know, a 3-year-old, it takes them 3 hours to fall asleep at bedtime and they're physically abusing their parents. Or like I've worked with children with seizures who, you know, are having a hard time with sleeping. And so there's the whole run of the mill.
Yeah.
But typically it's, you know, parents who are just beside themselves, exhausted. They don't spend time together as a couple anymore because they spend all this time trying to get their kids sleeping. They don't sleep in the same bed because maybe they have 2 kids and one parent's with the toddler and one's with the baby. So it's really kind of beautiful because I bring the couple together and at the same time help their little one. Essentially the goal is that they're able to put their little one down fully awake. They leave the room, their baby falls asleep and sleeps 10 to 12 hours through the night. So that's sort of where we go with it.
And do you have the same like method for each baby, or?
I'm certified in this very specific method that's gentle and gradual. It's not cry it out, it's not time checks, where you're like slowly moving the parent out of the room as they're giving support, as their little, it's actually a learned skill to learn how to sleep. Some babies, based on their temperament, just sort of, and health, can do it easier than others. So some babies really need a lot of help to learn it.
Some parents need a lot of help, right?
Yes.
Just from what you talked to me about.
Especially like first-time parents, it can be hard to know where to set the boundaries, and a lot of parents, moms especially, have a hard time with any amount of crying.
Right.
And so we work on all those things because those are important components to give the space and independence for their little one to kind of get these skills.
What
She's
about?
really good at it.
Yeah,
Like, it's incredible. Our kids do sleep. That's one thing.
I was gonna say, do your kids sleep?
Yeah. I mean, that's how it all started, because with Kaya, the 10-year-old, it was so challenging. And so when the next 2 came, I knew that I had to do something different. So I did kind of an extreme version, which actually worked well for us, but they were sleeping through the night at 2.5 months, 10 to 12 hours. It worked great for us, but that's not typically how I work. Like, I don't typically work with babies until they're 5 or 6 months old.
Okay.
Because they're just more capable at that point of, you know, having the developmental capacity to sleep through the night.
Right.
And fall asleep unassisted.
What is this called? What's the...
Well, I call myself a sleep coach. There's a lot of terms like consultant or sleep trainer.
What's the methodology called? Like you said,
It's called the shuffle.
The shuffle.
It was created by this woman, Kim West.
How do you research it? Like, if I were to go online, do I just type in the shuffle sleep training?
Yeah.
Is it like, is there like a specific website or one that's like tells you to
I have
hit the kid with
my
a board?
website, which is peacefulsleepingbaby.com.
Peacefulsleepingbaby.com.
And are you the only one in the area that does it?
I'm the only one trained like this.
Okay.
There's like 2 other coaches maybe in the area. Maybe 3 if you include Monterey, who actually live here and are local.
Right.
Because you can do it by Skype too.
I was gonna say, can you do it on?
Yeah, so I work with people in other places as well via Skype. But I really like working with the local community. It's nice.
Yeah.
Probably also get a better sense of what's going on if you're able to spend some time in
Yeah,
the space.
I like going
and
to
be
the
like,
home,
Yeah,
seeing
right.
the room.
Right.
It's really helpful.
Yeah. See the mom, you're like, oh, you're neurotic.
That's what I think
We have to
How did
change.
you
We have to
know?
change you first.
I'm just judging the shit out of
It
everybody.
is who you're.
Totally.
I think you're training the parents just as much as you're
Yeah.
training
Well, you are.
the children.
But, you know, I of course have to be sensitive about that. And it helps being a mom because I'm not a typical mom in the sense that, like, I don't know, I'm not over,
You can spend 3 weeks away from your kids
exactly.
and totally chill.
Thank you.
3
exactly
weeks. It was
right.
10 days.
10
It was
3 weeks would have
It was
been
3
nice,
years.
though.
Fuck it. He-
I'm
so-
like, she left and
gave
she
birth
came back when they were
and-
17.
Yeah, they were
I'm like, what?
17. Yeah.
So we actually had the opposite experience. Like with Oaks, our first, we sleep trained him like the good old fashioned way. We let him cry it out. It took like three days to do it, 3 to 5 days. Pat didn't wake up really at all. I was like,
That must be nice.
pillow over my head, was like very upset about it. But I was pretty steadfast. Like there was no way I was gonna, and he was sleeping through the night at 4 4 months or whatever it was. With Arrow, we did what I see all my friends doing. It was like, and I'm not saying it's like bad or wrong, but I slept trained. You know, it just gets to a point. I think he was about 2 months, and I was doing like the holding him and, you know, rocking him to put him to
Like
sleep.
more attachment parenting.
Yeah, and then
type
one night I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore, and I put him in, and I just put my hand on him. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere until you fall asleep. And then I would, you know, so I kind of almost did that, like the gradual, like leaving him. But then with Arrow, we were just like,
Well, you said that was Oaks?
there was Arrow. But so we got him to sleep. Fine. I can put him down, he'd go to sleep, right? We could leave him in there. But in the middle of the night, he would wake up, and I would use all the excuses in the book, like, because Oaks would wake up in the middle of the night, but we just would never go to him. We'd be like, oh, you can just go back to sleep. With Arrow, I was like, oh, he's probably teething, or, you know, for some reason, the second one just like
More sensitive,
tugged at
yeah.
our heartstrings, and that's the biggest like hurdle I feel like I see happening with first-time parents, is that there's always a reason. It's like, well, so how do you deal with that? Like when there's like, well, he's teething, or it's the cry sounded like he was really painful, or, you know, like.
That's definitely one of the hardest parts of the job for me.
Yeah.
That's why I wait until they're 5 or 6 months also, because I don't know if you've heard of Wonder Weeks, but it is a legit thing that there's this big sleep regression at 4 months old.
Okay.
So I like to wait until after that passes, because then you're just like in a more stable, solid developmental place to take it on.
Gotcha.
So I feel confident at that point that we can tackle it. And if the other various things, minus illness is one of the biggest wrenches.
Right.
That has to be addressed most of the time. It's
Right.
typically not just a little runny nose. you
Yeah.
know. But typically, you know, I just really give parents a lot of reassurance that this is totally normal, because you really have to get through the hardest moment to break through to the other side. And I think without having a coach, a lot of parents give up at the hardest moment,
Right.
when they were so close to
Right.
getting through, right? So I can really help reassure them that that's totally normal. And I also really allow them space to give comfort, as long as it's like in a consistent way where we're not backtracking.
Right.
So I can help them kind of see that more clearly, because they're so deep in it, right? It's really hard.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
yeah.
you say you're training mostly fathers or dads?
Well, yeah,
to-
that's a cool thing
do the
too.
work?
Almost 90% of the families I work with, I have the dads step in and do the coaching.
Oh, that's cool.
Typically, mom is nursing and the breast is the
Best.
I was going to say it too. I didn't want to ruin your flow.
I didn't know what.
It is really great. But, you know, bottle feeding also is great too, and formula. But yeah, so it's the crutch. It's the main crutch, sleep crutch.
Yes.
So it can be really hard, especially because of what have you brought up too. Like, it can be so hard for moms to like hear their baby cry and, you know, not just stick them on the boob right away.
Right.
So I typically have dads, and I feel like the babies respond a lot better with the dads, in that they don't push as hard because they know dad can't give in.
Right.
But what I have found is if families don't work with me, like for the full, they don't get like the full package where I help them to the end. Typically, if dad says he's on board, I'll find that actually dad bailed out. So I think it's really
I know
helpful.
I'm looking at you.
No, dads bail out. Dads can bail out.
I think it's helpful for me to like
never
walk
bail
dads
out.
through it.
That's
And
true.
I've had
Right.
I never
the-
pull out. Oh, wait, what?
That's what I my problem was.
Bail out. Bail out. Sorry. Keep going.
I don't pull out, and then I
Apparently
try to
Kenny
bail
doesn't.
out, and then
It just doesn't work.
That
I'm
is
like,
so
it's like,
gross.
get it.
Stop.
sorry.
Hand motions are too much. Yeah. I've had wives call me and be like, can you call my husband because he did this and this and this last night, and I do not think that was right, but I really don't want to talk to him about it, so can you just call him for me, and I know he'll listen to you. And I'm like, you know what, I don't get to tell my husband what to do, but I love telling other people's husbands what to do.
Yeah, it's kind of a fetish. And then, but the
I
thing
bet they
is
listen
too.
too.
Here's the
They
thing:
do.
Mackenzie walks in, and there's a
No,
husband and a
this is
wife,
not a thing.
and the husband's like,
This is not a
"Yes, I'll sleep coach. I'd love to sleep coach.
That's why seeing them in the house is better.
Call me to remind me that I need to do certain things that night."
You're
And
gonna ruin my
I'm just-
career.
you tried to ruin mine.
Try to ruin mine.
So here to have
This
the
is
same
not a
conversation.
battle, okay? This is not a battle.
I'm just totally
This is a
kidding.
relationship.
No, but perhaps one of the sweetest things, well, one of the things I love, which I didn't expect going into this, since I mostly work with dads and have the dads do the coaching, like they get so proud of themselves and this relationship they form with their baby.
That's really cool.
Whereas they just are the ones that do bedtime from there on out, and they feel like so bonded where they didn't before, and the mom is so happy to see that happen, and it just like kind of balances the dynamic. And the other day I was with a family, and she was kind of more like me, like crying doesn't bother me that much, and like I don't mind going to work every day and having some space for my children. And he was very like emotional, and we were talking about her birth, which was really traumatic, and he like starts crying.
Oh.
And my heart was just, I mean, it's so sweet. I meet all these different families, and it's really neat to see the dynamics. And I really
emotionally invested into it.
Yeah.
Does it ever not work? You ever like try everything in the book, and then you're just like, well,
I'm pulling out.
Change your number all of a sudden.
If people hire me like and are committed to working with me and seeing it through, it will work.
Right.
I feel like so far it's worked every time.
The only time I can gauge it hasn't worked is when they just want to do like a 1.5 hour call with me and they don't want to ever talk to me again. Like if somebody hires me, I am all in and I will be with them until we get through to the other side.
Right.
Sometimes it's harder than other times, but I will always see them through because that's why they hired me. So.
Do you notice a pattern with like first kid, second kid, third
yeah.
kid? Like what's the differences tend to be with?
Mostly with the mom, I would say most specifically. Like I feel like the second time around, moms are just so much more relaxed and can handle much more crying. Typically, not always. And they're just like, you know, when I'm doing my reassuring thing, which I have to do a lot of with the first time moms, the second time moms are like, oh yeah, don't worry, I know. Like they're gonna be fine.
Right.
You know.
So is that when the parents are stressing about the crying, because the crying's never tugged really on my heartstrings. Like it doesn't have the effect on me that it does on her. Like the kid will be crying and there's a genuine.
Because you're just sleeping through it.
Because I'm sleeping through it, and even when it happens and I'm not sleeping through it, I'm just like, cool, man. You'll
like
be
you
cool.
know they're okay.
Yeah. So what is that the main conversation you have with the mom? Is like, hey, they're gonna be okay, or when they throw it in their face, like, well, the stress levels in a baby and the cortisol
we
levels
talk about
are also
that a
super
lot.
high, and
Yeah.
da-da-da-da.
That's why I'm super grateful I'm trained in the way I am, because they can stay there and they can pick their baby up and comfort their baby. So, you know, I really reassure them about that. And that drops even if their baby cries the moment they put them down again, just having that touch and hearing their voice drops cortisol levels. And it takes a lot of like repetitive crying that's unattended to cause harm.
Right.
And the way that I work, there's never unattended crying. But, you know, that being said, a lot of parents will tell me, I feel like being in the room with my baby is making it worse. So, you know, we're always trying to find the best fit for each family. And I never want a family to feel like they're doing cry it out, because they hire me because they don't want to do cry it out. So we get as creative as we can to figure out how, you know, if they feel like their presence makes it worse, how can we modify so that they can still help their little one. But, you know, it's tricky. It's always, it's complicated, and it's
Different for every
everybody.
family.
It's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Well, I have a totally hypothetical situation.
let's hear
if you
this
had like a 2.5-year-old who was sleep trained, and then when you went, you know, they went on this like 5-month trip,
Yeah.
and
when
then
they slept in the bed with you a lot.
and they slept because you know you're just like
They
sleeping
start with the older
places.
brother in the bed in this hypothetical situation, and then go into your bed somewhere through the night.
Yeah, and then so then you get home, and then now you're in this like routine of having to be with this kid to go to sleep, and then
Not in your bed, in his bed.
in his bed,
And then you leave.
and then you leave, and then they comes
Hypothetically.
in the middle of the night.
And ends up in the morning in your bed.
Yes.
Still.
Correct.
Sounds very clear, this hypothetical.
Yeah.
You
I
guys
mean,
really know this hypothetical well.
We do.
It's one of those things where it's like so hypothetical that the vision is clear.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, but
Yeah, you just have to kind of start over. Like,
Yeah.
You know, and I'll just tell you what you need to do free of charge, because you're so great.
what?
So he's actually stopped coming into the bed at night.
Oh, good.
Every
Well,
night.
that's a great.
Yeah.
So how
Like
long is
by
bedtime
himself.
taking?
Oh, like depends if he naps. It's when he goes to school.
Longer.
It'll take him never longer than 30 minutes.
He wants you to stay there with him.
But I need to be there with him. But in the past, like if he's like dozing and we've left, like, I mean, we haven't given it a very good shot. But what happened with Oaks was when he was in a bed, we put him in front of the crib in the bed. The rule was, and he's a rule follower.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay in your bed, but you can't come out of your room. Mm-hmm. So he would sometimes he would just potter around in his room, and sometimes he'd fall asleep on the ground. Mm-hmm. Arrow, you say that, he doesn't give a shit. He's just going to climb up into his brother's bed, annoy him, find everything, climb, come out and be like, you can't come out. I don't care what you're saying. I'm going to come out.
Sounds like all our kids.
Yeah, all three of them.
So it was like, oh, okay, well, this isn't going to work for him because he, so it was just, it's the whole it's just easier if we just lie
and
there
they're sharing
with you.
a room too. So
and they're sharing a
makes it
room.
harder.
So if Oaks is asleep, it's way easier because he doesn't have anyone to annoy, so he'll just go to sleep. But we haven't really been like, okay.
We haven't really tried.
We haven't really been like, okay, I'm going to go now. Sorry.
He's been doing a lot better.
It'd be good to get it done before baby comes.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And typically too, I mean, you'll see some regression when baby comes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not for everyone, but you still have time to do it now and make it the new norm. So that's good.
When is baby due?
November
Tomorrow.
20th.
Oh, it's soon.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Yeah, you're
Have a night. Sleep train him.
Do you give your kids high quality sugar?
We
What's the
do.
sugar intake of your
High and low?
I mean, I know
low.
we're talking. I just go back to the kid.
I'm not if they're going to have sugar, it's sugar to me.
Yeah.
Sugar.
But we do aim for higher quality stuff. Like we'll look at something
Right.
like a sour gummy strip and be like, dude, that tastes like shit.
Oh
You're not
yeah,
gonna have that.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
get him something
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
She buys higher quality stuff for the kids.
Yeah.
It's not. She doesn't go out of her way.
I
But
don't,
if
but I
we're
would
gonna
never
get
buy
something,
them candy. I
yeah.
would never buy them.
If we're gonna
candy.
get them something, we're gonna get a penny ice creamery rather than
Yeah,
Baskin
that's
Robbins.
it.
You know,
I
like
agree. Same.
Right. Well, I'll
And-
make it. I'll make the ice cream.
yeah.
I'll do that too.
Right.
How do you do it?
Like with
Her
cream.
hand.
But are you using like a Omega or something like a processor?
You
No.
make sorbet.
I make like sorbet.
Oh,
You don't make ice
You can
cream,
put
what's
in
the word?
it's sorbet. The kids call it ice cream.
Right.
But I fooled them. But you just put in
Got 'em good.
Put blueberries, mangoes, and it comes out like sorbet.
But not to make ourselves
right,
seem really
right.
great because we give our kids so much sugar.
Our kids
No.
are sugar too.
But we don't need it in the house, and it just shows up. And I don't
Right.
understand
Well,
it. It's like there's
It just shows up.
Yeah.
no,
it
it's
just
true.
gets
It
dropped.
does.
everywhere,
It does
anyway.
just show up.
It's true. Like it's all the way.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Like
Our
I just said it shows
10-year-old
up.
brings it in.
Just like our phone shows up in their hand.
Our
And
10-year-old
we're like-
smuggles it.
Yeah.
right.
And then it's like literally a physical fight, so we just leave it in their hand because.
Right.
But I think
you gotta
there's
pick your battles.
But there's a conscious effort you guys make to do these things within your own house, and there's certain things that are outside your control. I think that's part of parenting. I think it's
Yeah,
just when
true.
you say, screw it, they get everything all the time, whenever they want, that things get out of hand. Or when you lack the education to understand the negative ramification of
Right.
continued sugar usage, and it's like,
Yeah, and I think the more kids you have, also you realize you do need to relax a little bit. Like with
Absolutely.
Oaks, we were very strict on what he ate. We were controlling everything he ate. No, he didn't have grains or anything
go out.
like. No, he would. I would even let him have French fries. No, there's canola oil in these. No, he can't eat those. Now it's the second one ate
you want a grilled cheese
all of the
sandwich?
stuff. Yeah, again, we're still trying to be good, but I think there's a certain amount of reality to life and enjoying food and not being the parent at parties who says you can't have any of those delicious looking cupcakes that are sitting there.
It's true.
That being said, let's so also they don't have Halloween in New Zealand. So the idea of Halloween is a trippy one.
Ridiculous to me.
So
Ridiculous.
It's my favorite holiday.
Oh,
yeah. So check this out. Her rule that she's made that I've agreed to, obviously.
Okay.
I mean, but they get a piece of candy for every year that they are old. So my oldest is pumped on 6 pieces of candy this year.
Oh yeah.
So they go do the whole trick or treating thing, and they come home and they go, okay, what 6 can I have? And my other one is like, what 2 do I get?
But did you hear Oaks goes, Errol, I'll give you some of mine.
That's nice.
But it's their reality. They don't know
But like
anything
6
different.
pieces of candy, like I was like, oh, what's gonna happen when they're 10? They're gonna get 10 pieces.
But
of
she's
candy?
tripping balls
Yeah.
over 10 pieces of candy. And I'm remembering my
Oh my gosh.
Halloweens where it's like
Pillowcase.
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 And you just sit there and you just sit in your room and go into a coma. Like
days.
I'm just gonna and you eat. Oh,
It takes like a month to come down off it.
Yes, absolutely. But your metabolism at that point in
I
time
think-
is just so solid.
I
it doesn't
definitely,
matter.
it's definitely irrational for sure. Like I understand it's irrational. I think it's kind of like the
And
gum.
mean.
You know, like the
It's
gum.
irrational and mean.
But they don't know any difference. So how, like he's stoked
Oh,
on
they
6
will.
pieces of
They
candy.
will know.
But
and they
dude,
will
seeing
hold
it-
it against
But once
you.
he starts knowing, like, then I'll probably like pull back a little bit. You know, like I'm not the mother. Like if I see like other kids getting stuff and he like looks at me with the like,
Aw.
like unless it's like super like no, dude, like you don't need that. Like I'm not gonna be like no, you can't have it. Like he can have it for sure.
I mean, my whole
Oh,
parenting.
I throw it away, man. No one knows.
yeah, that's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Like
The
I'll
rest
be
of
like,
it.
here's a couple, and then the whole
They
bag
don't
goes.
actually care.
And I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of wasteful.
but my whole
Wasteful?
parenting.
No.
Shit anyway.
It's sugar.
I mean,
It was,
yeah.
it was a
No.
waste in being made.
Yeah.
Well, no, you can send it. Some dentists give it to the soldiers,
I know that's.
which is
Is
kinda-
that good? I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
mean,
that's
I
good.
think-
Be like,
brings them back to childhood.
Yeah,
and
yeah, maybe.
when they're far away.
But you can. There's all sorts of incentives. Like you can be like, oh, you can, if you give me all your candy, you can have a toy, or you can have a Lego set, or
You know, something really sweet happened the other day. I actually haven't told Kenny about this.
Oh.
Like, my sister and mom judge us a lot for how we choose to parent. We have, like, pretty wild kids, but, like, we think they have a lot of boundaries.
yeah, no, they're wild, man.
And my mom
Other
the other
parents are
day,
like, what are these creatures?
she was being so sweet with me, and she's like, you know, because we were talking about how well our 10-year-old turned out, which, for the record, she's actually not Kenny's biological kid, and I feel so lucky. When she was 2, we started dating, and I couldn't have asked for a better dad, you know, partner. I mean, he has never once treated her any differently than the other ones, and it just comes so naturally. Like, you can't force that, really,
Right.
you know, and we're just so lucky. But anyway, we just treat him like, because we're our family unit here, and her dad is far away, so etc. Long story. But my mom said, you know, I have to say, you know, Kaya turned out so well, and she was a terror, like terror. We were all worried about where that was headed.
like, can you give me an example?
Like she could chew through doors.
That was the dog, right?
Or was she like angry, aggressive? Like
yes.
what?
Like epic tantrums. I don't know if you've heard of the Spirited Child ever.
This book,
She was
Spirited
definitely
Child,
like I used to pray that she would get diagnosed with something because
Right.
I knew. No, I'm not even joking.
So
Like
that you could have a reason.
yes,
The reason
because
why she was so
something
intense.
something was off, and I didn't know what, and it felt harder than the average.
I don't
child
remember any of
and
this.
what those parents were going through.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I finally found that Spirited Child book, and she definitely fits. They're just so intense. They're just so intense and particular, and it was very, very challenging. But,
You're talking about your sister giving you a compliment?
well, my mom,
Mom.
my sister probably will give me a compliment when she has kids of her own. But we always tease her because her dogs are so ill-behaved that we're like, you think your
They'll
kids
only
are gonna...
eat out of her hand. They'll only eat out of her hand.
No shit.
Yeah, the
That's
dog will not eat
hilarious.
unless it's out of her
That's
hand.
ridiculous.
attacks people, and it's like 5 pounds.
Awesome.
That's-
Spectacular.
He's on the
She's going to
floor.
have a great time with kids.
I
can't
know.
wait.
I'm
really
so
excited
for her.
Really excited. Yeah, my kid only eats out of my hand. I'm sorry, I gotta go. My kid has to eat.
Sweet, what did your mom
So
say?
my mom basically was just like, I just want to tell you, like, I don't understand the way you parent, and it wouldn't be the way that I parent, and it wasn't the way I parented.
Yeah, all my parents are the same.
But I think you guys are clearly onto something,
Aw.
and your kids are turning out great, much to everyone's,
No,
surprise.
man. I remember one day
Well,
we
it's
were.
probably because you have a really great relationship, and they're
We have a good
modeling-
I
relationship.
think that helps.
Wait,
I
do
think
you
it
have a good
helps.
relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have a
Actually,
good
I mean, it sounded like a
relationship.
question.
No, I
We
feel like we
do?
do.
No, we do a good
Okay.
job. Like, we put a lot into our relationship. Like,
Okay.
for me, more than my kids, my priority is my husband.
So what does that mean when you say you put a lot into your relationship? Like you,
My priority, the kids.
Well, someone has to prioritize
Give a
the
lot of
kids.
blowjobs,
And obviously,
you know.
it's like tons of blowjobs.
What?
That's basically
Wait, what?
it.
That's what she just said. That's what she said.
She
Her
said what?
priority.
She gives them to me? Or to other?
That's how she's prioritizing that.
Yeah, daily blowjobs. No.
No, I'm
nobody
curious.
has time
Like,
for
so
that.
do you?
No.
Is it like
No, like when we first got together, we'd been through a lot of shit with our past relationships, and we went to therapy right away.
Yeah, right.
I already had Kaya too, and I knew I didn't want Kaya to have to go through.
Right.
He was the first person I dated after I split with her dad. So, we just were really real. And I think starting that way helped frame how we then continued. When things get rough, we just turn to therapy. And we need to less and less because we're getting better at it as we go. But, it's been rough with the little kids and me starting work. I think me starting work was probably one of our hardest times because I couldn't do everything I do anymore, like domestic stuff and the mom chores and carrying all of that. And I needed help, but it was like a learning process for us to be together in that way, in a different way.
Yeah, I needed to be retrained.
I was trying to be nice, but yeah.
And when you say when
but
things get rough, do you mean like you stop communicating, or like just things start
Like the
getting...
resentment or the tension starts building and you want to kill, well, like I might want to kill him.
With the
I don't
knives
know
that
if he
has
ever
in front.
feels like he wants to kill me. I don't
Like
think
that was
so.
an aggressive blowjob.
There's a
Are
lot
you
of teeth.
okay?
There's a lot of teeth.
She brought it up earlier, so I just figured that's where my brain went, I guess.
So this isn't a show for kids.
No, not necessarily a show for, at least this specific one is not.
Very liberal parents.
But yeah, I mean, I was telling him the other day, I'm like, this is the first time in my life, because like I'm working now. Sadie just started school, thank God.
Right.
But it's been all summer with all the kids, no school. And I was like, I don't have a sex drive for the first time in my life. Like that's never happened to me before, not even after birth.
Right.
I was like, kind of telling him like, so that he knew, so that like he didn't think I didn't want to have sex, like, and because usually I'll kind of be more excited to get that going, but I'm just kind of like, I could take it or leave it right now. We've also always had au pairs and like help, partly because we wanted to keep ourselves sane and not hating each other, and I think having that help really helped, but we don't have that anymore either.
Right.
I mean, the idea of like a single family raising kids is so counter to most of like history.
That's
like,
true.
You don't you like the idea of isolating yourself out and
Even
trying to
having
raise
one
kids.
sexual partner,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, but
No.
like the multi-parenting of a child is a very
we have no tribe. That's why I
yeah.
love the name of your podcast. It's so nice.
Hey, what is
Yeah.
it?
Tribe life.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
Yeah.
like
tribe life.
that.
Yeah.
Because
I was just saying to a group of ladies the other day, like someone was asking what was the biggest difference from having a first to then having a second baby. And I think the difference was like we are now with the, and we weren't with the kids all the time when Era was born, but more so, we had more freedom to be together and with the kids all the time. Like now when we're not together, I mean, Pat goes away, not that much anymore, but it still does. And the first day is like, oh man, how do people do this?
It's hard alone.
It's so hard. Like we're so lucky, and I think you guys are in a similar
Same.
situation. You get to be around the kids and with the two of you a lot, and people don't have that luxury. And it's like they should, because I think that's why marriages, end up not working, or they just have that resentment and you're doing this and I'm doing this, and
There's no
that competition. It ends up being a competition on who's doing what.
Yeah, and we can feel that sometimes.
For sure,
But it's
we do
also-
too.
you feel that more than me, I think.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I just feel like Mackenzie handles a lot around the house, and I'm sort of emotional support for the kids. It's like if someone's going to put them to bed or wake them up or be the first person, it's going to be me.
Right.
And they don't want-
feel
I
a
do
lot
both
that.
of those things.
Yeah, I was about to say, what if your spouse does both of those things?
Yeah, that's heavy, man. That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, but I do all the invisible
But I do all the
work.
sex. So I had the
you know.
sex drive for both of us. Non-existent. I mean, it just.
Non-existent.
Well, for the first time,
I make the knives
think,
in this house. I do the surfing in
You're
this
the
house.
man.
I build the decks in this house. All right.
No,
You got
he's good. He's
Well,
You
I
heard.
would be hypothetically building the decks in my house, like,
Right.
and I carry the mental load, like that invisible mental
That's-
load,
that's
which is a
yeah.
huge.
I got an invisible
Task.
mental load, too.
Oh, shit.
Come on.
Not anymore, though. You got that taken care of.
What?
With your
Sorry,
work, you
Me?
mean?
No, with work, kids. I
Not
have
the kids,
much.
though.
Yeah, but it is. It's like I have such an attachment to them, and they have it to me, that like, I can't really go in my office and sit there and be alone. Like, they're
Right.
gonna come in.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
me too.
gonna find me. And that's like, I am stoked on it in one sense. Like, I love that the kids want to hang with me. I'd probably be bummed if they didn't.
Yeah.
But then in another sense, it's kind of heavy trying to, like, talk to people on the phone
Focus
or,
on one
like,
thing.
focus on work.
Yeah.
Or,
Oh, totally.
like, Mackenzie's so good at what she does. I'm like, if you could get that thing going, you know, all the time, full time, I'm like, I'll stay home with these guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you think about it this way, like
Yeah.
you
I love what I do.
say you struggle through it right now, and it's hard, and you're not getting the type of work that you want done.
Yeah.
In 18 years, you're gonna have no option to be with the kids.
Yeah, it's true.
Less than 18 years,
Yeah.
so you have a very limited time frame of having to juggle them,
Yeah, it's true.
and it sucks. But right now, like that's your only opportunity. Like
Yeah,
then the
it's
kids
true.
go, and it's like
Even by the time they're 10, like we
Yeah.
barely
Right.
see our 10-year-old.
that's what I'm saying. So like people
Yeah.
people
Sure.
are really struggling with that, and I get it. I'm a similar. I work when they go to bed,
Yeah.
and
It is like he does. I will say it's a little extreme, and I told him he maybe should set some boundaries. I don't know how exactly because it's like nothing I've ever seen.
Well, I
Like,
do, but I
They-
can't
Right.
change this is just where they're at. They're attached to me, and it's like,
Yeah.
and I also told myself same thing. I'm like, I have a limited time with this, and when they say, Papa, pick me up, you know what? For right now, I'm gonna pick them up because one day they're not gonna be like, Kaya, my 10-year-old, doesn't say, Papa, pick me up.
Right.
Like, so in a way, I appreciate that, and another way, I'm like, tiring sometimes.
Super
I
tiring.
think there's
But-
just there's certain mentalities that can handle that or can't. Like
Yeah.
you probably couldn't be in the same situation and
Well, I
make
mean-
that same decision. Of like, okay, I'm just gonna always prioritize the kids over the work that I have to.
To be fair, I'm alone a lot with them.
Yeah, she is because I go away and teach
Oh,
yoga.
yeah.
So she gets days like that.
I get weeks like that.
But does
Right.
that stress you out?
I don't enjoy being with them in the same way he does.
Right.
Like he can just play with them for hours. He's always had that gift, and I don't do that. One article I read that made me so happy. It was like, I'm not playing with my kids, and I don't feel sorry about it. I was like, yes, find me, my person.
Yeah, I
But-
totally disagreed with that article.
Well, but I take them outside and I go on adventures and we go to the beach.
That's
I
true.
cannot
You
be
do
in the
do
house
that.
with my kids because to me, my house is like this job. There's always a job in my house.
Yes.
And I can't disconnect from that and just be with my kids. So like I have to get out of the house to be with them more.
Yeah, I'm very similar.
But she's extra special at keeping the house like together.
Extra special.
Like meaning like if it's like she could go all day, 24 hours, like never stop. I'm like, dude, just let it sit. Those little like just
I'm
leave
like,
those
I'm
magazines
like,
there.
we
Those things are
just
sitting there.
ate.
It's
You don't
okay.
need to do the dishes right now. There's
That's
one
how I
set
feel.
of
Like,
dishes
it's
there.
okay.
Like, why are you doing the dishes?
And
needs to be
when
done.
you come home, is the house neat?
Yeah, you
came
do a
home
pretty
yesterday.
good job.
No, I did.
Whoa,
Good job.
whoa. But is it neat to your standard?
That, maybe
He's
not.
doing
I
a
don't
lot
know.
better. Like I know he's really making an effort.
That was.
But I like it
generous.
neat. I
And
like
it's
it
really
neat
nice.
too. I like it neat.
yeah.
But I'm not gonna. If I let that stress me out, I don't have time for my
Right.
kids. It's like I
Yeah.
need
But like to be fair, I
I'd
do
rather
all
play
the
them.
laundry.
Yeah, you do. It's
And that's
so
a
nice.
huge
I just
task.
put. It's weird. I put my shirt like down this like this
in the
metal
wall?
chute,
And then it just gets done.
and I'm like,
Dude.
dude, that's the shirt I was looking for. It's right here on the bed, folded. This
I
is
know.
sick.
I stopped
Like-
folding them. Now I like.
There's a pile of laundry on my bed. She tried to put it in the way of me getting to my bed
Yeah,
last night, and you just kick through the pile,
Well,
and then you get on the bed.
Falco, a dog, he like, so it was a big pile. Because so it normally hangs over the bed. And he normally gets
It's
to
pretty
it, but
bad.
it's pretty bad at the moment. I don't know how he has any clothes to wear. It's like, I mean, it's about this high, so I picked it all up and I threw it on the floor in between the bed and the stuff.
So
And
you.
I was like, oh, he's gonna have to step clearly over this.
So usually for me getting to bed, there's this like fumble around on the walls, and
It's
like
like
oh
you
no, oh, like trying to get into into the bed as I
But Falco, I
hurdle
think the
the
dog,
clothing.
like he like rummaged and like made his own bed out of it. So
And
he
then you
like,
have to wash it all again.
well, no, that's why the top he had on was full
Yeah,
of
it's
dog
covered in
hair.
dog
I
stuff,
didn't
like
notice
so.
when you came. You
The one he had on was dog hair, but
So
it
that's
was
how we
clean.
do, baby.
It was
But
clean.
she is amazing at how Mackenzie's amazing at how she keeps the house together. The thing is, if she just let it sit a while, I would do it.
The first
because
time
when
we
she's
met-
not here, I do the laundry, I do the dishes, the house is clean.
You're having
Like,
the identical conversation, Darla.
it's clean,
It's
but
different,
she's
though.
like so.
I think it's the
on
same
it,
as many.
it doesn't even give me
couples.
time to do it. So then I'm just.
Doesn't even give him time. Well, she somehow found time to do it.
Well, I know.
She
it would-
somehow found
the
time.
thing is, it would
Here's
get
the
done.
thing.
It just I don't
I went
stress
grocery
about
shopping before I left.
Doesn't even remotely sit on my
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I left for 2 days this week, 2 nights. I went grocery shopping before I left, so I was sure they had food. I went grocery shopping on my way home, so I was sure they had dinner. So I do like lift some of the burden.
But you don't have to.
Well,
That's the thing,
I mean, I
though.
like to,
Yeah, but that's the
but
thing.
it
you
makes
don't
it
have
easier
to.
for you too.
I think what
Yeah, but I
happens
don't
is
think you
is,
have
is
to.
like when you're in a relationship with a person for a long time, there's certain things that they take up mental. They take care of mentally, so your brain goes, okay, I don't need to focus on that anymore.
It's
Like,
called enabling, right?
Well,
They're
kind
just
of, in a way.
Okay, cool. I'm
It
just
is.
like,
I'm like, there's always food in the. There's
Laundry's
always
up
food
here.
in the my stuff. My laundry always gets taken care of. I don't worry about
It's
that.
amazing.
Well, right, but if you weren't there,
Then
it's
you
not like I would all of a sudden not eat.
Yeah, we just-
and I would not
just dirty clothes and no food in the house.
Right, yeah, it's just like, fuck, well, the trash is filling up. I just don't know what to
the kids
do.
do get
You know,
fed, like less than par food.
they
He forgets to give
Your
them
kids?
water.
Yeah,
He forgets to give him one.
they'll be fine.
Just put a bowl in the corner, bro.
yeah,
Go,
dude.
Yeah.
I got one of those like giant gerbil
I think
things.
also one of the conclusions we've come to though too is like just because we're different people,
Right.
And the cleanliness and like things being out of place is not. It actually makes me anxious. So it's not just like
Me
I
too.
like things
I could
clean.
feel you,
It's not
yeah.
like like it's kind of like I try and use the same example like when he goes into his garage or his workshop. Like if it's messy, he wants to clean it up, and
Yeah, I
it's
hear
like bothers. I can't focus on anything until my space is
it's all I
clean.
can think about. Like if I know that there's 7 tasks that
Yeah,
haven't been done.
like those Legos sitting up on that shelf there.
I know
like,
you guys are really lucky.
I don't have that at all.
Yeah,
I'm
he doesn't.
super jealous.
This
Like
has
she's
to
like,
be-
what if you walked in your garage and it was super dirty? I'd be like,
No, but you would clean
Pick it up
but
eventually.
yeah, eventually I'd move it so I could do what I needed to do, and then when I
But
had
it, like
the time,
it
I'd clean
visually
it.
bothers me. Like it visually like upsets me, which makes me a little bit anxious. So it's like
You know what analogy you could use? Be like, what if you got to the beach and you pulled out your surfboard and there was no wax on it? And I'd be like, that'd be terrible. Like you came in and you removed the wax off my board? Yeah, but I didn't ask you. It's all gone. And I'm like, well, that would suck because then I couldn't use my board. Why did you touch my board? And that would make me really anxious because there's waves and there's no wax and I didn't bring a
wax.
bar. Like,
yeah, but that still wouldn't bother you. You
no,
would
that
just
would
put the
totally.
wax on it.
That
No,
would bother
but
you.
there was no bar. There was no
you just
bar.
find
How-
someone. You'd be like, I'll just go and borrow.
No, that would
something.
bother the hell out of me. I'd be like, why did you touch my bar? Why did you remove the wax off my thing?
Okay, maybe that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. We
So-
might need some therapy after this.
This is good. This is therapy.
Yeah.
It is good.
You guys have an age difference, right?
Yeah,
Isn't he
he's an
super old?
man.
Yeah.
Before me, he dated a woman 7 years older than him. One time on the bus to the airport, I love this story because she was really awful to me and tried to steal him back for a year after we started
Oh my
dating.
goodness.
Super cool chick.
Awesome. So in the bus, this little kid said to their mom, "Look, he's with his mommy too."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's
Love
awesome.
that.
So, wait, so how old is he?
He's 44 and I'm 7 years younger, so he did a 14-year gap when we got together.
14-year gap meaning
Like difference.
you 7 and then
Yeah, 7.
that
and
woman
then-
was 50.
Oh wow, that is a big difference.
51
Yeah.
now.
But it's a good thing because he looks like a child.
Does.
I think Pat's gonna be the same.
Yeah.
He's
How old are
34.
you guys?
I'm 32.
Oh my
I'm
God,
36.
You are a child.
Actually, I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm even 32 yet. Am
You're
I
33. 33 when Arrow's 3.
I'll be 33 in January.
Wow.
yeah.
They have the same birthday.
And she's old as hell.
So like
She's 52.
with his young looks,
I'm the
pretty
one
soon
who's.
you're gonna be on the airport bus. So he's gonna
You
be
know,
like-
right? Seriously. Men age so much better than
It's
women.
so unfair. And then
It's
they just
so
grow a
unfair.
fucking beard.
Yeah,
And they're
it's
like, look how
gray and they
handsome I
look-
am.
yeah,
I'm a
exactly.
silver fox.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
And we
That's
do somehow don't look the same. And I don't feel like that's even society. Like, you know, you can
It's,
argue it's society placing things on that, and I
It's,
men just age
disagree.
better.
collagen and all this stuff and menopause and all these things.
And having 3 babies.
having babies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah,
me
we-
tell you.
For
Yeah,
us,
we
like
have
this
babies.
is that's our wedding. I was pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Scandalous.
nice.
So you can't really see our faces. But if you look at a photo of us maybe 4 months later after we had Oaks, we look completely different.
Oh, just
Like,
haggards.
And
True.
it's just like that lack of sleep, the sleep
Changes,
deprivation.
yeah.
I think it just like,
It's huge.
yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And
What-
even if you are getting sleep, like our kids sleep well and have slept well. I don't know, just running around all day, running after them, all of it is
All of it.
too much.
But Tatum's been waking me up every night.
Well, because
your
he
dog?
let him watch Jurassic Park.
Wait.
And I was like, that's going to give him nightmares. I don't think this is a good idea.
Oh, you said Tatum as
Tatum.
I thought you said Mateo. I'm like, is this the
Mateo.
Oh, you're like,
the
That's the man who lives in the downstairs.
Actually,
Speaking of sex drive,
Yeah.
Mateo
I
handles
take
that.
care of Mateo now. But yeah, he's been waking me up. I don't even know, but that's happened before too, where he gets up at night and he wants me to go sleep with him. So
the
we do
toddler
that.
transition can be hard when they're kind of in their bed now and like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, I just used your restroom and there was pee all
Pee.
over the toilet and
Yeah.
on the floor.
I told you.
But
'cause
I
Arrow just
wiped
went.
it. I wiped it up so you didn't think it was me.
That's
It's
such a
like-
conundrum.
Wait,
That's my biggest
we
thing.
had an au pair once who told me,
She peed on the
can
floor.
you please tell Kenny to stop
yeah.
peeing all over the toilet seat? This was before Tatum
I
started
thought she
using
was
the
into
toilets.
it, so I just.
So you just kept doing it, marking your territory, and making it happen.
And he's like very clean. I think it was Kaya actually. She would drip by accident on her
Yeah.
way off the
Maybe.
toilet seat.
Might
it
have
was
been me.
so uncomfortable. I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell my husband, who's perfectly clean. What are you even talking
Be like,
about?
that's my toilet.
where was
I'm
she
gonna
from?
pee wherever I want.
Germany.
Super
I
clean.
met her, I think.
Oh,
I
when you
stopped by
came
your
over.
house, yeah.
You did. That's true.
The one that always gets me is the unisex bathrooms. Like when I go into a unisex bathroom and there's already pee on the seat, same sort of deal. Where like I'm like, I just need to pee, but do I have to clean this pee up?
Hate
Because if
that.
I leave
You
and
got
then
it,
somebody
bro.
else comes in, they're
I
gonna be like,
always
that
do.
dude just peed all over the
So
So
what do you
uncomfortable.
do? What do you do?
I
it.
always
I
clean it
clean
up.
it.
I
Where
have
the
to
poop
because
is
like
in the toilet bowl and you're like,
Yeah.
oh no, and there's
like,
no scrubber and
how
they're
did
gonna
you-
think it was you.
No, then I just aim and I pee on it to clean it.
that's our job. All
It
right?
is.
In the unisex bathroom, we clean
We can
off.
clean.
That's
Oh, to be a man. Must
it's a
be
very
nice.
different world. Very different world.
Speaking of peeing, you should see my daughter, a 2-year-old pee.
Yeah.
She just stands like Tatum.
Yeah.
She
Look,
just
I have a
stands.
penis.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
she just like
I wouldn't even get it. It's like,
got great aim. But
Oh,
you
wow.
passed that
It's
down
so
to her.
weird.
I
That's
think you
impressive.
passed
but
that
I
to her.
had to really cultivate it.
But you're
like,
good. She's
You can
good
stand
at
and
it.
pee too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
So
like,
can all the girls in my family.
but
stand
Sadie
and
is like
pee?
a pro.
Yeah, but Sadie just stands.
See,
She's
hers
like,
is like must
Wait,
be.
you can stand
Wow.
behind the toilet and pee into it, or do you stand over the
Sadie
toilet?
used a urinal down in Capitola yesterday. She's
She
like,
did?
Papa, what's this? And I'm like, that's a urinal. And she saw Tatum and I use it, and she's like, she just
Damn.
like put her hands on her hips. And
She like leans forward a little
yeah,
bit.
she just pushes her hips forward.
That's amazing.
And like, of course, people come in, they're like, yeah.
In
I'm
the
like,
van.
isn't this unisex?
Yeah. Unisex bathrooms don't have urinals, bro.
We're in Santa Cruz. One should be.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
our kids like
We were at Cat
every
and Cloud
day.
today.
Literally,
Yeah.
literally every day of their lives, someone calls them girls.
Oh, what?
Oh yeah, isn't that
Every
crazy?
day.
What is, even in Santa, like that's
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
They're
and
so
every-
actually,
obviously
country-
boys.
Yeah.
Like there's
So
not
it's-
even a question.
I'm glad you feel that way. I've literally never had someone come up and be like, "Oh, your son."
I mean, if you were
It's
dressing
always
them in
boy.
pink
That's
and
interesting.
skirts,
No,
then
but
that would be confusing.
Babe, but
Right.
Tatum has earrings, and he gets
Well, it's
called a
true.
girl.
With a
often
shaved head
because
and
he has
earrings,
Shaved
he
head,
has-
like shaved or even mohawked.
Oh, we almost got
They're like,
divorced
"She's
about
cute."
that actually.
Would you almost
Because
do it?
I mohawked him.
No, because I got him earrings when Kenny was in Europe.
No, I wasn't. I was just like, you should ask the other parent before you
It was just we were all
Pierce.
so excited. It
pierce
was like
the kid. I'm stoked with it. He looks cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm like,
pierced?
it's
They're
good to
pierced.
ask the other parent
wanted
before
them to-
you.
It might be. I mean, it might be one of those
I'm
things
like,
that you
those are
want to
like
communicate
16
about.
gauge.
Oh, hey, I got him circumcised at 4.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck,
just-
what?
yeah,
You
just
did
let
what?
me know.
At 4? Oh, good
But
call. Good
not
call.
even. Hey, I want to know though. What's your feel about people saying, "Oh, are those girls?"
We just correct them.
Yeah, like no, they're boys.
Yeah,
And
he's a boy.
Oaks has heard it so many times that I think it actually doesn't bother him anymore.
Yeah.
it's because of the hair.
It's
Yeah.
the hair.
It's the hair.
You know,
His
when
hair
it,
is
you
awesome,
know when
by
it
the
does
way.
bother
I
us?
love
Yeah, it's awesome.
When the kids do it, when his peers do it to him.
Like make fun though, like
Yeah.
almost.
You look like
you're
a girl.
good.
Well, Pat
I'm
busted
really
one the other day.
mean
He's so
to other
mean.
kids.
He's so mean.
Like other kids will like say something like this kid was calling him a girl, and I'd heard him do it a couple times, and he's a little shithead. Like he's on his soccer team, and he's just like,
We'll edit that.
I won't tell who it is, but he's a little shithead. And anyway, like I came over, and he'd been doing it earlier before, and then I came over, and then right as I'm walking up, he's saying the same thing. Like he's being like,
Not cool.
like,
Yeah, he's
like,
trying to
"You
get
look
a
like
reaction
girl,
from
blah, blah,
us,
and
but
Oaks is
it's
like, ah.
just-
And I walked up and I was like, oh yeah, no, it's because of the long hair, right? And they're like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, guys have long hair too and all that other stuff. And I was like, what color are your eyes? And he's like, they're blue. And I was like, yeah, that's commonly a girl color. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's commonly a girl color to have that bright blue eyes. But, it looks good on you too. And he's like, what? My whole family has blue eyes. And I'm like,
bunch of girls.
I'm like, yeah, your mom probably too. She's a girl. And then I was like, okay, good at talking to you. And then left. I was like,
He's really savage with other kids.
and that's
Yeah, I got a little bear in me too, or lion.
it just comes
Yeah,
up.
don't mess with him, man.
But so I don't know what your parenting style is. You apparently,
bullying really bothers me though.
but
I do not. I'm not
the
into
free
it.
range, and I don't know if you do free range or whatever it is, but I'm totally cool with what a parent wants to do.
Yeah.
But if that kid steps into my space and does something to my kid, I'm immediately going to stop that. And I don't know if it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. I know eventually I'm not going to be there. But when I see it happen, when some kid's barreling at my kid and runs into him and knocks him over, then laughs at my kid and runs away, I'm gonna be like, hey, come here. and that kid's gonna have a talking to. I'm not gonna let that
what
happen.
bothers us is I don't know about you guys. A lot of the times, parents aren't paying attention. That's fine if you want to, free range and let your kids do whatever they want within the bounds of whatever
Well, it's
you
like
have.
being at a dog park. If you know your dog is an asshole, you
Yeah.
don't let it go to the dog park and just do whatever it
you
wants.
watch it, right?
I'm sure they're in denial about their kids being assholes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I would be hypersensitive if I knew my kid was an asshole.
It's tricky. We had the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Tatum, first of all, he's got his earrings, and then he wanted to wear his sister's gymnastics leotard to the park,
Oh, wait.
and he rocks it,
His
man.
balls kind of hang out the sides.
He looks good.
sometimes.
So he wears
The
it.
little balls are so adorable.
And Mackenzie was with them. They were he was playing with some other kids, and he ended up hitting one of the kids with a stick in the neck. My son hit another kid.
And he typically,
And
he
I
only
was
beats
like-
up Sadie, his little sister.
I was like, my kid's never hit another kid. But I'd also seen these kids around him before, and it was a little bit like they tease a little bit.
it's
Right.
that
Just
undercover poking.
And I asked, and then I didn't even say anything. And one night when he was going to bed, he's like, they were playing a mean game with me.
Right.
And I was like, well, he was in the leotard, he had his earrings, and they might have been chasing him. But he doesn't step up like that. So I guess he got a talking to from the dad. And I kind of was like, you know what? I don't know the situation. And he might have had enough of being teased and pushed a little bit. I don't want him hitting kids with sticks.
Right.
But sorry.
we told
Yeah,
his
it
teacher
depends the
about it.
situation.
No, exactly.
And we talked to the teacher because we wanted to make sure it never happened at
goes,
school.
Because Tatum is so great at school. They just love him. So, there's never been
What
an
school do
incident.
they go to?
Rocking Horse.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right up your road.
Yeah,
isn't
right up
it?
there. It's awesome.
And Johnny goes, I gotta say, I'm glad to see Tatum live in his boyness a little bit more. I'm like, I love that outlook.
Yeah.
And so I didn't school. I asked him about it. He was shy about it. But then when he came back, he's like, they're playing a mean game with me. And I was like,
And I
Right.
had him own it. I walked him all the way over to this kid. He got really shy, but I made him look at what he did to him, and he couldn't apologize because he was too uncomfortable. But I made him face it instead of just leaving, which I
Right.
could
Did you
have
ask
done.
in the moment, why did you do that?
Once the dad left us, before I took him over to the other kid, I asked him. I said, did you do that on purpose? And he said yes. And I mean, he knew he had done something
Right.
that
Yeah, he
wasn't
knew.
good. And I don't know, he was nervous. He was really nervous because he knew.
But the context made sense. I think
Yeah.
the context made
4-year-old
sense around
boy,
that.
right?
If
Well, yeah.
a kid made fun
It
of
was
what you were
unfortunate.
doing, and you
No
go, okay, well, you
adult-
can't go there.
No
but he
adult
also
saw
came-
it happen.
Right. So, and then this
unfortunately.
usually happens, and then all you see is the last
The
thing,
last
Yeah.
thing.
which is the
Yeah.
kid hitting
And
the other kid, and then it's
he
your
did
kid.
get
and you're
this
like,
welt, so the fact that there was a physical
right.
evidence of being hurt
Right.
was unfortunate.
Yes,
Because it made
that's
it.
Yeah, too bad there were no marks.
Well, I think it's a little easier when there's no marks.
I think that's a really hard one. We remember who was on the podcast and they were saying that to always be your kid's biggest advocate, to always just basically believe your kid. I mean, sometimes they can do things that they shouldn't and hit other kids. We see it around here, but you don't usually see it outside of. We don't usually see it outside of here.
But then you don't want to be one of those kinds of parents.
Totally, you don't. But
It's
at the same time, you
What kind of
also-
parents are you referring to?
I don't know.
The
You
ones
gotta-
who
I think-
their kid can do no harm.
Yeah, you gotta
No,
have
the
their
kid
back, but you also
definitely,
have to be
definitely
like,
can do harm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard
But
balance.
I think whoever said that is really right too, because actually the sweetest thing happened yesterday. I went to Kaya's open house, which I really didn't want to. I don't usually go to open houses. I didn't realize
not
they
your
were
jam.
like mandatory, but I think you really should go.
Mm.
I've gone to like
What's an
2.
open house?
talk to the
Parent night,
teachers,
like-
parent night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so
Sounds like you're fond of those, like
Love those.
Thanksgiving.
I went.
It's like Thanksgiving for school.
Lots of people I don't know.
Yes,
Great.
exactly.
Cool.
Kaya was like,
Turkey.
"Mom, you know you have to go." She's 10. I'm like, "No, Kaya,
She's
I
responsible.
really don't want to." She's like, "Mom," and then my mom was like, "You have to go," and then the teacher was like, "It's important," so I went because I didn't want to get
Yeah,
judged.
thanks for going for us.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
I stay with the kids.
But the teacher is so awesome. Mount Madonna. She goes to Mount Madonna.
I went to Mount Madonna.
Oh, are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah, I
Oh.
went there for like 10 years.
You
Can't you
remember,
tell?
I remember
I
that.
forgot
Yeah.
that.
Don't you tell?
That's
the
why you're
ladies?
so awesome.
Yeah, that's why I can do no wrong.
That's why he's so in touch
that's
with
where-
himself.
He's
is
a
what I
guru.
was more-
Yeah.
Guru. Different world, but
And the teacher, one of the things she said was she trusts the kids. She starts the year trusting the kids until they give her reason not to.
Right.
That's
And then she works through it. And in Kaya's note, she wrote her a note for the teacher's birthday. She said, "I like that you trust us."
Aw.
It's sweet.
Yeah,
Kaya
that's
is sweet,
important
man.
to kids. They need
So
to know
sweet.
that they're
Yeah.
like people have their back. I think.
My
I think-
10-year-old's amazing. Remember, she felt like she treated her first grade teacher bad, and this year she bought her a
She's in
card
fifth
and
grade now.
in 5th grade she wrote back to the first grade teacher, "I apologize for basically not liking you and treating you
that
badly."
took me 30 years to do that.
I
Like-
was so impressed. No
Like
one
2-year-old friends, you know,
Yeah.
like I'm looking back and being like, shit.
Man, I remember when I kicked that kid or whatever. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Cross off the death
She's
list.
very well. I mean,
All right.
what
Okay.
Mount Madonna teaches a lot of compassion.
Yeah. What was the teacher?
Jessica, she's probably
5th
new
grade.
since you've been there.
5th grade. Okay.
Yeah, she's cool.
It's been a little while.
They used to have this teacher who taught 5th grade for years. His name was Shrigion. He was this guy who was just
Oh, it was a
awesome.
guy.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He had like bald hair, ponytail, but was just like would read the coolest books and like was just so connected with the whole class. You know, like really on the level. And he was one of my most memorable teachers. And he lived up to the land, just a fantastic dude. He was a longtime smoker, but got cancer and died
No
like
way.
a few years back. And it was like one of the first people close to me. I mean, my grandparents have died, or I've had grandparents die and stuff like that. But this was the first one who was like pivotal in my life, like someone who I remembered as a cornerstone for why I act and do certain things, or who gave me, or who I mean, he had nicknames for me, and like someone who was really influential in my thought process moving forward.
Teachers are so important.
They're so.
Well, good teachers are important.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Yeah.
Like,
and,
I
and
remember
I don't remember shit that they taught me, but
No.
man, do I remember everything about
Yeah.
how they made me
how
feel.
they treated you. Exactly.
And I think that's like, I mean, that's the key to being a good teacher. And I think that's probably
Yeah.
what
Key to
makes you a
being
good
a
yoga
good
teacher
person.
or
Yeah.
anything like that, or a good parent. It's like, it's not all the shit that you're teaching them. It's
No.
it's how they make you feel, the trust they have in you,
Right,
and the things they
totally.
make you want to do. And absolutely. Anyway,
Yeah, like that's why when I'm yelling at my kids, I'm like, shit,
Yeah.
stop this.
you ever apologize?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I make a point of that. So I feel much better about the yelling if I then follow it up with the
Yeah,
apology.
right.
But then
But
who
that-
wants somebody who's apologizing all the time and doing the same bad behavior? Because that sucks too.
It does, but
But-
it shows that you're learning as well. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's that openness and that willingness to be vulnerable for in front of your kid and be like, hey, I shouldn't have done that. Like I shouldn't have done. Like I've done so many fucked up things that I'm just like, hey man, I'm really sorry I said that or I did that. And
Do you ever feel bad about your parenting?
absolutely,
Yeah.
Oh,
of
all the time.
course, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, like in general, like I look at my kids and I'm like, fantastic. Like these
Yeah.
kids are amazing.
Yeah,
I tried to
And-
Your
do
kids
jokes on
are
this
amazing.
morning. I
What
don't know if it really worked. Well, so you know when you feel like your kids aren't learning, they're just like you're constantly telling them the same
Uh-huh.
thing. And Oaks, he has a way with words, kind of like his parents really, but he'll just say really mean things to Arrow, like I wish I never had a brother, and this is why I hate having a brother, and like and he like, or he'll hit him, like, you know, those are the two things we're working on, not verbally saying mean things to his brother and not like coming back with physical
Yeah.
violence. And those are the two things that he just like continuously doesn't learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's sick, so
The
he's
physical
definitely-
thing's so hard
it's
for me.
so hard. And this morning he said it to Arrow. He was like, this is why I hate having a brother. And I go, you know what, Oaks? Sometimes I wish I had never had any kids. I said it on purpose. I knew exactly what I was saying. And I wanted him to hear it. And he like, even though he was still angry at Arrow, he just like burst into tears. And I steadfast on it, and I went and spoke to him. I'm like, so how did that make you feel? Clearly very upset. And
I didn't know about this.
Well, you were upstairs on the phone. And and we talked about it, and I was like, I said that on purpose. And he was like, that was a really mean thing to say. I'm like, you know how that made you feel? Every time you say that about Arrow, that's how it makes me feel. When you say you don't want a brother and you hate having a brother, I feel the same way you're feeling now. And he was like, but it was really mean. I'm like, yeah, it's really mean. Do you think I mean it? He was like, no, but you made me feel like all at once, like I just didn't matter. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, geez, he's very good at words. And I was like, I know, buddy, I don't mean it at all. And I told him I didn't mean it, and we talked about that. But like,
He'll talk to a therapist when he's like 25 about it.
Yeah, I'm
just kidding.
Maybe you also should follow that up with, I shouldn't have said that.
of course I said that, honey.
I think that was an amazing.
Maybe you
thing
shouldn't have
to
been
do.
on the
But
phone upstairs.
I knew exactly what
Fully
he was saying.
supportive.
And I told him why. The things with Oaks, you can tell him exactly why you're doing something. I'm like,
Yeah,
the
'cause
reason
he
I
gets
said
it.
that is because you are
you're
not
smart.
learning. You're not learning. You're not changing. And when I
Yeah.
ask you to change in a nice way, hey, Oaksies, don't do that. All you tell me is that you can't. Like he'll be like, I can't. It's too hard. And we're like,
It's hard.
you control your own emotions. You can. He's
It's
like, but
hard,
it's
though.
so hard. I can't. And I'm like,
Think how hard it is for us as adults.
totally. No, I.
And then,
totally.
like, for the little guys, sometimes I
hard.
feel like I don't give them enough credit. Like,
I know.
you
I know
'cause
it's hard when they
It's
do
hard
good
for us
stuff.
to
Like
change.
that's when we should
Yeah.
really be like, "Whoa, that was so amazing how you did that. You didn't hit your brother. Whoa!" Like,
But I feel you. I don't know. Everybody, we were smooth the other day, and I'm just tired. And when I'm tired, I'm not as good as
Nobody
a
is.
parent.
Nobody
And
is.
I was trying to put Sadie to bed, and she was freaking out. I don't even know what about, just freaking. And I don't usually yell. And I consciously was like, I'm going to use a loud voice right now. And the thing is, I used this loud voice, and she like chilled immediately. And then she wanted to be close to me, and I had to just let myself be close to her. But then afterwards, I felt so bad about the heavy voice I used.
I think sometimes it's
And it's like,
necessary,
just,
though.
I'm like
And
ruining
actually listen to
these
him.
kids, man.
That's right.
No,
he
you're not
doesn't
ruining
know.
them. So like, but I think
Killed me.
But I think
It broke my heart.
They
But
have your trust though. Like they trust you so much.
she wanted to
that-
be close to you afterwards.
Yeah.
My kid says, "Fuck off" when I do that.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He cries. He loses it, and then I have to say,
He gets
"Buddy,
angry.
I'm sorry,"
He
and
gets
he's
angry
he
and
runs
then
away.
he cries.
Yeah.
So, like-
Tatum does that more.
Right. So, and that's my. I would argue that it's my biggest flaw as a parent is like my tendency to go from this
Like reaction.
to like
Yeah.
really intense is it's a switch.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing I remember about my father. My father is
Yeah.
mellow, like mellow, like the mellowest dude you know, and chemically enhanced at times. You know, like, but I can remember like he was terrifying. Like when he got mad, and it was like literally from mellow to oh my god, I'm gonna die. And he never touched me, never hit me once.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, and with my boys, it's like, I have that, that's my go-to. It's like, I have a switch. It's just like, you flip it and it's all of a sudden, I'm like yelling and I'm like, God, and I have to constantly stop myself.
How's it feel in your body? Body?
When I'm doing it, great. Because like, that's what was necessary for the moment. And then afterwards, like, damn, you know?
I did that, what I did this morning, very consciously. Like, there was
Yeah,
no part of me
sounds
that
like
felt
it.
bad about that. Like, because I know Oaks. I know that afterwards doing that, I can then go back and talk to him. Like, we have that relationship where I can do that with him. Like, I wanted him to get upset. I wanted
To
him
understand
to
the
feel it.
feeling.
Yeah, like, that's not my go-to every time to
Yeah.
make him feel like crap every time he does something like that.
But he understood. It gave reference for
yeah,
what the
and he's
feeling might
he's
be.
old enough, you know. He
Yeah.
understands. Like I just
Parenting's hard.
It
Like,
is
it's,
hard, man.
It's so hard. And like, and we talk about the
Well, I think
differences.
it's hard if you care. I think that's the thing. I feel like back in
I think parenting's,
Even if you don't
even
care.
if you don't care,
At least if you're an asshole, but you can come back around and explore why. And,
you can grow from it.
But I go.
but that's hard.
It
It's
is
really
hard,
to
but
do
that's
that.
what Parent Who Care does it.
That's what I'm saying. People who
know?
don't care, they just yell and then they move
And then
on.
they move
They're
on,
quite.
yeah.
They don't think about what's this doing to my kid or. And I feel
And
like
what it does to us, because it does do something to us too. Whatever we do to them, we're doing to ourselves.
Unless you're just so numb to the world.
Maybe, but I feel you about the dad
Yeah.
because my parents were like either yell at you, or
That's
you.
my
I
parents.
literally got a strap,
Yeah.
like a belt across the ass or a hand across the ass,
Yeah.
and
It's just a shitty communicator in my mind.
It is.
If
But,
you
but I
can't
see
communicate
too.
by just beating someone.
My dad's chill, and then he would just like freak.
Yeah.
And I can see that and I'm a yoga teacher, and I meditate, and I do yoga, and I can see the same thing where I can trace it. I'm like, interesting. I'm used to, if things get heavy, to get hot, And
Right.
that's what I'm working on. I'm like, I don't want to, and I don't always. And when I'm tired, it's worse. But I'm like, I don't want to always go hot.
I don't know. I've seen you in the ocean.
Yeah. Oh, I just yell at everybody.
I know.
He's
I'm like,
such
you
an
know who
asshole.
am I? You know who I think I am? Don't you know who I think I am? Don't you?
You're the strange to me because the one time, 2 times I've seen you in the ocean, you are more aggressive.
You haven't seen me, have you?
I have seen you in the
When?
hook.
Did you say hi?
It was before we really knew each other. I remember you being.
I surfed like a 5'3" little fish or something.
Yeah, it
like
was,
that.
but it was like you
Makes me mad.
had an energy out there, like where it was like, oh, interesting, like this guy, like because there's people in a lineup that you kind of gauge, and it was I think you just felt comfortable in the spot you were in, but you had an intensity to you that was different than your on land persona.
That's interesting.
Like
Fish persona.
it was your fish persona, and I
Well,
was like,
yeah.
huh, it's I think it's a space you just feel really comfortable.
Ask the questions.
Okay.
Anyway, moving forward. I guess this is the final question. The final question we usually ask is just like if you go back to yourself right before you had your first kid and say something to yourself, what would
This
you
is more
say?
directed to the. Well, actually,
I think-
both people can answer,
And you can say it before the first kid that was.
or before you got married, because that you were entering into a relationship with with the kid.
You take this one. Right?
Yeah, ours is a little like,
Yeah.
You go first.
watch out were the first words that came to my head. Like flashing like signs of
Watch out for what?
danger ahead.
What is the danger that you experience the most?
Well, it's funny because when you said, even hearing you say, like, before I had kids, it brings up this longing in me.
Right.
Just hearing you say that. I guess there's moms that feel more complete once they have kids, but for me, that hasn't been my experience. And I'm super grateful for, I love my life. I love my family. I feel super lucky and super blessed. And I've worked hard on myself to create this life, but I also struggle. Like, I'm also not happy, and I also want something different. Not a different life partner, but more passion and more feeling like alive. Being a mom doesn't really feed me in that way. It more wears me down, at least now.
Yeah.
I have a fantasy that when my kids are older, it will be more like how I am with my sister and my mom, where it's just good times, like I think that phase will be more what I will enjoy.
It's really refreshing to hear someone be
Yeah,
honest about that.
You're the second person I've heard
Yeah.
recently who's been like that.
But being honest about it, I think a lot of mothers would not want to admit that to themselves if they felt that way, or like you're saying, have that guilt around it. I think it's cool that you are happy for where you are. You love your kids. You don't want anything to change, but you have a different sense of who you are.
It's hard for people though, and it's even hard for Kenny sometimes too.
To hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It'd
I
be
also,
hard for me to hear that
yeah.
if you were in a relationship.
But he's my life partner.
Thanks,
I've always
What?
Not thanks. Because that's how I feel. It's hard sometimes.
It'd be really
Yeah.
hard to hear that.
But, on the flip side of that, he's the person I've chosen. It's not so much the partnership thing, it's more
No,
the
that doesn't sound.
motherhood.
Yeah, no,
thing,
I didn't.
But it
doesn't
can
sound
be
at all anything to do with your relationship.
hard for him to be married to someone who feels that way as a mother
sure.
also. But I also think that's how we also complement each other, because he's not that way.
You're very paternal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's just something he's never gonna understand about you. So he's never
Yeah.
he's never gonna understand that emotion. He's never gonna understand that
But I think
you have a longing towards not having what you currently have.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true for many things in relationships. It just happens to
For
be
sure.
a big part of it.
I would argue that there is nothing bigger.
But I should say too, on the flip side of all of this, I actually consider myself to be a really great mom, and
I'm not taking
no, I know
Yeah.
you're not at all. I'm just because I think it's important to say, because
Yeah.
I think sometimes
Yeah.
people can confuse my sentiment and my feeling
No,
and
I
my
know.
truth.
Yeah. that
Not
doesn't-
you guys necessarily, but like the world at large.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm very committed to being a mother, and I make a lot of mistakes too, which mostly are rooted in the fact that I don't like it a lot sometimes. So like you were just saying about giving birth, how you felt you were running from it. In birth, I could drop in really easy and be present, but being a mother, I want to have that, like, where I kind of want to, no, I don't want to do this. And I feel a lot of, not anxiety so much as dread,
Yeah.
especially when I'm on my own.
Right.
So I think it'd be extra important then for you to have the times where you step away, right?
Yeah,
Like,
which
it
has been
becomes-
really hard to cultivate, and
Right.
I'm starting now that the kids are in school
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
really focus on that more.
Totally.
But the hard thing about it, which frustrates me, is that when I do take that space, it's so intense and heavy right now with having the little ones and everything, that the moment I step back in,
Yeah.
it
it's
like
a
Oh, it
takes
doesn't
over,
end, man.
you know?
yeah.
But that is why I think maybe having a doula or having a babysitter
Nanny.
or full-time nanny.
Yeah.
I don't, man, it's worth the money if you feel like it's healthier for your relationship.
Right.
Of course.
So I'm all for it. Yeah, and I don't know that I'll ever understand. I understand to a degree because we both were just free rolling. I was like moving coast to coast. I was snowboarding all over the place. I was surfing all over the place, teaching yoga all over the place. So there was a lot of freedom in that. And I kind of think back, I'm like, wow, man, if you would have, with all the energy it takes to have kids, if you would have used that energy towards career or something else, you would be doing something huge right now. But
Right.
you don't realize
We're
until
like,
you
what
have
were
kids.
we doing with our lives?
Yeah, when you think there's all these stresses and
Yeah.
things like that,
Kids and you're
and
like,
then you have kids,
"Oh,
and you're
this-
like,
this
what?
shit's easy.
What was
Like,
I doing?
Yeah, we have those conversations too. Like,
Yeah,
I think,
but
we
it's
just,
all relative. You can't
It
know
is.
until you know.
and we've just
Yeah.
come to like accept that. We're like, we've made, like how you were talking about before, being like, you can't take back these years. So it's like, if we don't earn as much money now, or if we're not doing certain things that we want to do now,
Yeah.
we understand that. Like we're gonna have energy for a long time. Like I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, like all the things that you want to do, you're gonna get to do again. And,
Well,
like,
yeah, and I guess there's some fear around that too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I really want to have that vibrancy for life because that's like my nature. But it's hard for me to keep that and feed that now.
right.
And
what's
I
the number
want.
one thing you miss? Like the number one thing is like, are you an alone person, or are you like?
I actually am a lone person, so that's
Right.
probably part of the problem. I also suffer from like some depression, and I have a big family history of those things. So I'm always trying to keep in check too, like what's what here.
Right.
Is this the depression coming up, or is this just me and like my needs and desires? And like I try to pay attention to that as well. But I miss it's simple things. It's the simplest things. Like I would love to go see the full moon rising right now, but I'm so fucking tired, and I'm so unmotivated. And
That's
I
why
get
we're gonna
so,
buy a house where we can see it.
I get so upset then that I'm so
Yeah.
tired and unmotivated.
I get that too. Like I want to be going to the beach and doing stuff. I mean, I'm pregnant, so it's kind of like hard. But even when I'm not pregnant, I do feel tired. Like we feel tired, and I think we do less than we normally would because of the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
it's true.
like just packing up and going to the beach is not like an easy
It's not
feat.
easy, man.
But
And-
I think it's different for me because I get plenty of pleasure from sitting out and building a deck
That's awesome.
and
Right.
spending time with the kids watching TV.
Like I
or,
wish I
like,
would get
playing video
pleasure
games. Like
from my kids like needing me and like wanting me, but for
But you
me,
don't.
no.
and that's okay.
And I also am fostering very independent. Although they're very attached to Kenny, I really am fostering independent. Like Kaya, our 10-year-old. Oh my god. I don't know that they'll all be that way, but
What was the question again?
The question is, if you could go back to pre-kid self, and you can choose whether it's like pre-Kaya or
Okay.
your first child, what would you? Probably pre-Kaya, because it sounds like you had some
Yeah.
life transitions from when you guys got together. And
he was really involved.
So what would
what would you say to yourself?
what would I say to myself about having kids in the future?
Yeah, just
Like, how would I prep myself?
Would you be like, okay, yeah, like hers was like, watch out, there's like danger
Yeah.
ahead, it's a big deal? Or would you be like, so for my for example, my one, it's still the same, was like it gets easier, from like having that newborn and having all this responsibility all of a sudden to 6 months down the track, they're actually, it's a lot easier. A year later, it's easier, you know. So that's what I would tell myself.
Yeah, I think I'd say something to myself like, keep doing the work. Like, don't give up when it gets hard.
Yeah.
And I want to correct any mistakes I feel like I was raised with.
Right.
And I tend to be pretty hard on myself around that, like making it better for these guys. And I still feel like I fail a lot. But I want it to be, I want my kids, I would tell my younger self, like, you know, do the best you can and like give them an experience so they're amazing people. You know, because it's hard. It's really hard having kids. And I also think about it, like when we talk about it, I know I have a strong sense for adventure. So it's whether I like sell everything and buy an RV and throw them all in there, or go buy a new house that I probably can't afford to do something different, or move to New Zealand, and because I think that's
We
how
definitely have no.
I think that's how we were living. I'm not
That's how we live.
I like being home, but man, like you gotta keep it interesting. Even in my
Same.
with my kids, with my career, you know, with my partner, like I need to keep some kind of dynamic of, you know, excitement.
Yeah.
So, and I hear you, like getting the kids out, you know, sometimes it's hard. It's easier just to like chill at home with them, but it's so much better for me and for them. Like yesterday I took them paddleboarding down in Cap, and then we like chased around seals, and then I threw them both in the water and let them get washed away by the waves a little bit. And, but I brought them back. And
They're still out there.
yeah, but I think just like keeping.
Did you apologize to your wife for bringing him back?
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's like. And
Wait,
when,
are you guys married?
Yeah, we're married.
Okay,
They had a
okay.
festival
We are-
for the
Yeah,
conference.
festival. Yeah.
And when we're in the flow, when I feel like we're in the flow with the kids, man, and whether I'm alone or we're together, I just feel like it's zen, like it's beautiful, you know. And when it's hard, like you'll have a day where you're just like cruising, and then you have a day like all hell breaks loose, and you're like, how am I gonna make it through this without,
Right.
you know, abandoning ship or whatever else? But yeah, I think I just tell myself as a younger guy, like, just go with the experience. It's going to be hard, but I want you to do better than you know. Your parents did well, but do better than they did.
Right.
And, like, find new ways.
I like it.
Yeah, man.
Cool. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
This is super fun.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening to the show, and if you wouldn't mind heading on over to iTunes, giving us a rating, and also writing maybe a little review, telling people about the show, as well as checking out our sponsors, Perkia Rings, as well as Cat and Cloud Coffee. That's Perkia, Pyrkia. Use the code TRIBELIFE for a little discount. And if you want to go to Cat and Cloud Coffee, that's CATANDCLOUD, so Cat and Cloud Coffee, and put that in the old Google machine, pull it up, and choose anything in their store. Use code BARBERSHOP, and you can get 10% off anything in the store. All right, thank you guys. Have a wonderful day. Or night, wherever you're at right now. Or morning, whatever it may be.